Hello, all, and welcome back to a new episode of TV and Us, a conversation show about the TV series we just can't stop talking about. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And each season, we focus on a different show, reviewing it episode by episode, and we invite you to watch along with us. Right now, we are reviewing The Bear Season 4, and today, we are now at the halfway point, and we are on episode 5, titled Replicants. If you haven't watched this episode yet, we're about to dive fully in, so go watch this episode and then come back and listen to our conversation. Okay, Sarah, do you want to kick us off with a summary for The Bear episode 5?
Sure. The summary is the team resets.
Oh, yeah, they do.
They do.
They do. But so much else happens, too.
Yes.
I was like, okay, yeah, they do that. So that's very good. But I guess they also are having to react to a lot of other things as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, the team does reset a little bit, kind of. All right. What is your episode title for this 5th episode?
My episode title is Yikes.
Fitting, yes. I like it. My episode title is Set Menu.
Nice. Yes, that is a big deal in this episode.
Big deal for this crew.
Yeah, changes everything.
Okay, there's much to discuss in this episode. Let's dive in. Should we start with the big thing?
I feel like we have to. We got to go there. Jen, how you doing?
Not well. You know, I have to say, I think we called it.
We did.
We so called this, and I think this is the right time for this to happen, actually.
Yeah.
So I was pleased by that, and thinking about that afterwards, after having all of the feels about what's happening here. And I also feel like this is the right time for this reconciliation, this bonding between this team, and to showcase how they are really here for each other, and for that to be potentially a really key decision maker variable for Sid as she's thinking about this pizza house versus stinky house choice. So yeah, I guess Sid gets the call that we all hate to get. And tell me your thoughts about how that unfolds.
Yeah. We called it.
We did.
We talked about this a couple episodes ago, where we were just kind of like bracing for impact. And now here we go. Yeah, I am curious to see kind of where this is going to go and how it's going to influence Sydney's decisions. Obviously, right now, she is just in reaction mode. Need to make sure that her dad is okay and all of the things. But depending on like the severity of the heart attack, all of that, you know, her plans may be completely derailed. And so I'm just, it's a perfect way to end an episode, to get you to click watch the next episode. And I think it's also, like you were saying, really fitting for this point in the season, because that event kind of changes everything, and it has the potential to change everything. And so we still have 5 episodes to see the fallout from that, and how Sid may have to completely change her plans. So we were thinking that, you know, it's the Bear or Shapiro, and those are kind of, you know, Sydney's choices. And this kind of brings a whole nother variable into the equation that we weren't even thinking of, that she wasn't even thinking of. And so it's going to be really interesting to see like what this draws out of Sid's character in particular, but then, like you were saying, how all of the other members of the Stinky House will presumably come together and support her, because she really is part of the family. So I think as a viewer of the show who really loves these characters, I hate it. But as a person who appreciates really good TV, I'm like, this is really smart, and it's coming at just the right time.
That was a perfect summary. of all of the feelings and the dichotomies of the feelings of being like, this is so terrible for the people we love and care about, but then also being like, this is also really genius. Well done. I'm so pleased to see great storytelling. We love to see it. Yeah. I I think that this event is also really significant for reframing how Sydney might have been thinking about her choice. Um, Obviously, there's the career ambitions, there's a talent, there's the people dynamics of both options, but sometimes these big life events really helps you clarify what's really most important and what you really value, and those things can change and shift quite significantly when you see the way that people show up for you, are in the trenches with you, and that bond, that connection, that care is like priceless. Like you can't find that anywhere else. And when you've gone through so much with people, like you're in it together. And I wonder how that will strengthen the bonds that Sydney and Carmi have with each other, of them really showing up for each other, and then seeing the way the rest of the team just comes in and supports and scaffolds so much of keeping this thing going while she's gone. Like you, it's like that like soft thing that you can't really even quantify, that I think may change how Sydney might be thinking about her decision. So there's obviously the like talent and the ambition that she would be able to be able to explore with Shapiro and whatnot, but what about the human side of this all, and who you choose to do life with, and day in and day out, I think is also such a big part of this. So I think seeing that few minutes at the ending scene of the way Carmi's just like, I got you. Like, what do you need? I'm going to go with you. You don't want me to go with you? That's okay too. I'll take care of the potatoes, but I got you. I got you. And that being kind of like the ending little soundbite that we have of him. I think they even like cut away, so we don't see him saying it. We just kind of hear his last little words as he's saying it. I think is so beautiful and so telling for how this team really cares for each other. So I think that's a really interesting aspect of what this whole event will do for the way Sydney's whole mindset about this is going to change. My hope is that this happens. There's a period of time. Dad might not be okay. Dad ultimately is okay. But through dad being not okay, she sees the team really like show up for her. And she's like, we're going to figure out how to make this work. And there's a lot of the like BS stuff. There's a lot of ego that immediately just dissipates when real life hits, that I think is also going to be really neat to see the way all these characters kind of react and evolve and maybe show some of their best sides or maybe some of their worst sides through this event. So I think it's a great timing because we get 4 more episodes to see all of the repercussions of it and all that play out.
Yeah. I also appreciate that you are like so focused on like the human aspect of it. My thought was like stability. And like after an event like this, especially like hopefully her dad is okay and it's not like too severe of a heart attack, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But I was like, man, is this going to force her to seek stability in some way? Because I mean, I think the Shapiro option is a little bit more stable than the Stinky House, but even that is still a risk because they're still building. And so I was like, is this going to usher in yet another opportunity of that is actually stable because she needs to be able to like care for her dad, or maybe her perspective will shift and she's like, oh wait, like I can't be so focused on my career. I actually need a situation that will allow me to also be a person too, and that might require her to do something entirely different that's not even on the table. So that's kind of where my mind initially went, is like, is she going to need stability in the next season of her life that is not really represented in either of these choices before her?
And therefore then ushering a whole set of plan C, D, and F that is now in play that didn't really need to be beforehand, but now is. Yeah, totally.
So we'll see. We have a lot of episodes left.
Yeah. Well, we shall see indeed. The other interesting little bit is Richie. I'm like, everyone's just crashing out here, I'm like, that scene with Richie doubled over in pain. I'm like, oh no, I'm really just Carmy out here being like, when's the other shoe going to drop for literally everybody in our life that we care about with all these characters? Because that's never a good sign, you know? There's something with his health that they seem to be seeding and teeing up, that I think is also going to shake out in some way, maybe. So uh, we're feeling, like you mentioned, maybe the instability of all of it, everyone, and all of the life changes and all of the life circumstances that are constantly ebb and flowing. No part of this team is ever like consistently going to be there forever, and everyone is going through different life things, and I think that's fascinating to see as well.
Yeah, it's just stressful when you know that something is going to happen and you don't know who it's going to happen to. Like
Yep.
there's that conversation that Marcus has with his roommate that is now a real estate
Yeah.
agent, and Marcus is talking about how bad things happen when you sell a house, and I was like, oh, Marcus, why are you
Yeah.
saying that? We've been worried about somebody's dad, and then you just said that, so something bad is going to happen to somebody's dad. Like I was so
Yep.
stressed for the rest of the episode, and then you see Richie and then Sydney with the calls and her dad. I was just like, oh no, I don't like this stress. But I'm so impressed at the show for being able to create that sense of anxiety in us. And it's a different type of anxiety than I think the bear has created in the past.
Mm,
You know, I think especially
mm.
the first
That's so
the
good.
first two seasons, it was very much this like frenetic pace anxiety. It was a result of what was going on in the kitchen and, these characters
Mm,
dysfunction. And it's a very specific type of anxiety that the bear was able to introduce into our lives in the first two seasons. But I feel like this season is doing a really good job at like the
mm,
anxiety is almost like at a simmer, and it's just kind of like low level, low key. It's there, but you don't know when that's going to spike. You don't know when that is going to like come into the forefront. And so I'm appreciating how like this season is very different than what we've seen from the bear in the past. And I think that that's really smart and intentional as these characters are taking so many steps and experiencing some emotional growth. Um, your anxiety that you have as a person starts to kind of change, and how that like shows up in your life and in your mind kind of changes over time. And
mm,
so I wonder if the bear is changing those things because that's just kind of how it happens in our lives too.
mm. Yeah, I love that. And that's a really great observation. There's a greater level of foreboding, but it hasn't quite arrived yet. And that's almost worse, honestly. I'm like, take me back to the kitchen where we're all just yelling at each other. Like, why does that feel more comforting almost than this feeling of something's going to happen and we don't know yet, but we do feel like it's coming. And it maybe is a way for us to really empathize more with Carmi as a character, because I remember him so distinctly describing that feeling of things are okay now, but I'm always waiting for something to go wrong. I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop, for something to explode, and for shit to hit the fan. And we feel that. We totally feel that right now. And in every dimension and aspect of uh, all of the realms of the bear and the people in the bear, it feels like something's stewing for everybody. And that's fun for us. I think we keep waiting for that like big, fun, explosive, frenetic, chaotic, but kind of really like bright type of episode, uh, where people are yelling at each other, but it's really funny and it's kind of comforting that we're like back in the kitchen with our crew. And we haven't gotten that yet. And so we're getting these really somber, slower, but stewing and stirring of something sinister that seems to be coming and has now arrived. So I think it'll be fascinating to see what tone the next episode has, and where we even pick up. Like, are we picking up in the moments right after? Has it been a couple of days? Where will the bear drop us in next after hearing this big news with Sid's father? So I thought, yeah, just all of that is so notable that's happening right now.
And I'm really curious because like these the whole like when it rains it pours kind of situation, and I'm like, is the bear gonna set us up for that too? So I'm still bracing for impact. I'm still in Carmi's mode of operation, which I don't love. But yeah, I'm very eager to see what happens in the next episode because I man, I the show was on a trajectory and we were really excited about the trajectory. It was a little too fast, and now this is an important detour. And so I'm just curious to see like how long the detour is and how far it's going to take us away from that like end goal that we both wanted for Sydney and for this show. So this really does have the potential to change everything, and it's as a TV watcher, it's exciting. And so I'm curious to see where they go next because man, they have so many directions to go in now because they're not. I don't feel like they're locked in this like binary between the bear and Shapiro now, and they can go kind of wherever they want, which is really exciting to be like, okay, we don't know what's going to happen next. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the way that the news drops too and everything leading up to it was geniusly written. Uh, we get the news of the set menu. So this feels like the sense of progress with Carmi and him having this really great moment of taking accountability, owning both his choices, but also the intentions behind his choices around him saying, like, I changed the menu to challenge myself. It was selfish. I'm not good with consistency, but here is me taking a step in a better direction. And I see you and I'm committed to this, I promise. Amazing moment. Then we get, okay, this updated agreement. We're about to hear about it. We're feeling the momentum of it. Conversation interrupted by a joyous moment with Sugar and baby, cute little baby Sophie. And everyone's kind of like relishing in just the joy of being around little ones and this big moment for Sugar that is so celebratory. And then that's when the moment hits. So it was so great because we're kind of like on the mousetrap ride. Like we're going down a path. It feels great. And then we take such a sharp turn when that call comes. And I feel like that's very reflective of the way that those calls often come. Like it's when you're at a birthday party or you're out with friends and you get the big news. You're never prepared for it. There's not a build up or a lead up to it where you can see it coming. Just kind of the bomb drops, then you have to figure out how to manage it. But I thought the way that the show played with our emotions in a great way to get us to feel this excitement for the future, this growth, this progress in all these areas of what we've been hoping for with our characters, with their relationships, with these big life milestones for characters we love. And then that's when the moment hits. So just the setup for that bomb to drop, I thought was just so well paced and well structured. So good job, the Bear writers.
Yeah, they did a really good job in this episode. And this episode is one of those where we kind of go back and forth between a lot of characters throughout, the first half or so of the episode as they're just kind of going about their day, doing their stuff. And then we see them in the back half kind of finally coalesce in the bear. And I love that the show is so intentional to kind of take us through the rounds. Like what are all of our crew doing? How are they spending their off time? What are they doing to like invest in themselves, care for themselves, the people around them? Like I loved that this episode starts with spending time with our characters in their space outside of the restaurant, because I think it's so easy, especially when you have like two really main characters in Sid and Carmi, who can make work their life, and their life kind of revolves around the bear. And so I love that we start out with them just living their lives, doing their stuff in their neighborhoods and in their homes. And that reminder of like, no, these are people too, which is kind of the journey that I feel like both Sid and Carmi are on right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved those little montages. And I love that we get a lot more shots of characters that we haven't often seen a lot of. Like we get a lot more with Sweeps and him trying to figure out this whole wine tasting business and being a sommelier. Like I love those moments. It also, I think, does a really great job of showcasing just how hard our characters are working for this dream. And I think we've often seen them in the kitchen and they're obviously doing their thing, but the alarm's going all going off at 6 a.m. They're getting up early. They're using their time even outside the kitchen to practice at home themselves and really commit themselves to it. It really makes us as the viewers buy in so much to root for them and their dream. Like we already were, but just seeing how much they've given themselves to this, I feel like really hones in and double clicks on that like willingness for us to just root so hard for them to make the bear work and to make Stinky House less stinky, and I think that is so telling. It reminds me of that sequence in one of the previous seasons with the fire alarm test or the fire test. There was a test that they were doing, and it was the pinnacle thing for them to be able to nail before they could open to get the like permit or the building code approvals. And as that test is running, there's this montage of all of them having worked hard and these little shots and clips of them, and it's panning across them as they're waiting for the results, and you just feel the weight of how much blood, sweat, and tears they poured into this. And so I think that the Bears does a really good job of ensuring that we remember how much they've given over to this and how much we really need this to work.
Yes, root for Stinky House.
Yes. Make Stinky House less stinky. Yeah. So good. So good. Okay. Other big things that happen in this episode. Oh my gosh! Actually, we have to talk about the Tina and Carmi scene. Our girl is a champ. I loved this scene so much. I love Tina for it. She's always been able to speak to Carmi in a way that I think he really needs and almost be a truth teller to him in all dimensions, the good and the bad. She was able to also clearly articulate what we've known all this time. But I think she said it so clearly when she says to Carmi, I feel you chasing something. Like just this voracious attempt. I feel you fixating on something. And she's like, I got to tell you something out loud. And the pause is so weighty and so long. And you're almost like waiting for criticism in some way, And she just says, you're the shit, baby. You got nothing to prove. And that is exactly what Carmi needs to hear because he's constantly trying to prove his worth in some way. And so it reminded me of what you had shared about, I think, in one of our previous conversations with this season around the women in Carmi's life really being able to have the intuition to know what he needs to hear and how to say it to him in just the way that he needs to receive it. And I feel like we saw Sugar do that in the previous episodes, two episodes ago, in episode 3. And now we're seeing Tina be able to also consistently like almost affirm his worth, his value outside of anything that he does, which is exactly what Carmi as a 3 needs to, an Enneagram 3 needs to be able to hear. So I loved that moment. I loved that scene. And I also love that it comes after her giving some honest feedback about, we don't got enough supplies, my dude, So we're going to be a truth teller on all fronts, logistically and for your emotions and your sense of value. We're going to tell it to you straight.
Yeah, that's such a great scene. And I love that what Tina has to say doesn't come out of nowhere because Tina has said this, Sugar has said this, Sydney has said this, Richie has said this. Like everyone has told this to Carmi for like a season and a half, basically, of like, my guy, this isn't going to work. And sometimes it just takes time for somebody to understand what you're saying, and like you were saying, it needs to come at the right time, delivered in the right way. And I appreciate that aspect of this show, that they're so intentional to do things that are so human, because you'll hear somebody telling you one thing over and over and over and over again, but as soon as somebody else tells you the same thing in a different way, it's like, oh yeah, let's do that. So it's so human to respond that way. And I loved that. These characters have been so persistent, so consistent, and now finally he's gotten it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you see it settle in a little bit more for him than it typically does. He's usually like, okay, yeah, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, got it. You're like, no, I need you to know. You have nothing to prove. Ah, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah,
Yeah. And
love
her
it.
ability to like hone in on, this is the root of your behavior. Like, let me just
Yeah.
speak to that. Let's get all this other stuff out of the way. Let's get to the heart of it. And
Mm-hmm.
it worked. He responded.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The clarity with which she can communicate it. Like, I think it's notable that she starts by saying, I feel you chasing something. And if I'm Carmi, I'm like, oh shoot, how did you know that? But like, yeah, that's really true. So then when she says, you're the shit, you got nothing to prove, there's trust, there's credibility. It's like, oh, you saw something that I didn't have words for, but I do feel the thing that you just said that I feel. So now I'm really listening. What are you going to say next? And I think that pairing together is important. She's just spewing really nice words of affirmation to him without seeing him and understanding him, and making him feel like someone is noticing something that he couldn't even put words to. Man, now he's paying attention. Now his ears are open enough to hear because he's been understood so much first. So I thought that, like, the whole pace of that conversation and how it unfolds is also really well done. So well done.
And I love this trajectory that Tina is on too, because she started out the show like not on board, not feeling Carmi at all. Like, nah, dude, we're not changing anything.
Yeah.
And she is such an anchor for this team. And she is such just a reliable person in the kitchen and on the team. And she has ideas and thoughts and opinions that people are listening to. And I love seeing her leadership growth over these seasons and how she is really like blossoming in this environment. And
Yeah.
it's just so wonderful. Like, I
She's
love
so
this for
good.
Tina.
Yes. Yes. She I love the way that the show paces her in everything, because she's not always playing a big role in every scene, but there's these like big pivotal conversations that she's in the center of and that she's ushering in. I was thinking, I can't remember exactly when it happens or what the moment was, but I think she also like speaks to Ibra in a way that like Ibra needed to hear, and being like, you can do better. I think it's when Ibra was isolating himself and kind of being distant from the team because he was feeling just inadequate and not enough, and feeling like a little bit like he was like, head hung low. And she calls him higher to be like, you are a part of this team. Like, you belong here. And so she just packs a punch, man. Every time, if she's in a conversation, I'm like, oh my gosh, how is Tina about to make this person's life so much more beautiful and better, because she's about to just like transform the way they've ever thought about themselves. you know? Yeah. Yeah. So good. Other big moments from this episode that we wanted to mention.
I want to just talk about Marcus really briefly.
Yes, your guy.
My guy. I love how present he is in this episode without being like at the forefront of everything.
Mm.
But you know that Marcus is around. And
Yeah.
this really emotional moment of selling his mom's house, and then, the next thing that we see is he has created this really, really beautiful, delicate dessert that they're now going to put on the menu. I loved all of these little moments with Marcus. And I thought one that was really notable was when Sugar comes with the baby and she offers the baby to Marcus first. And I thought, number one, very fitting,
Correct.
because
Yes.
everybody in that kitchen, like, Marcus is going to know how to hold a baby.
Yep.
he just has that like steady, even vibe. Perfect. She's
Yeah.
not going to cry when Marcus is holding her. But I thought that that was so notable for who Marcus is as a person. Like, he
Mm.
is safe, he is trusted, he is just this like calming presence. And but I also just thought it was funny that like she doesn't offer for Carmi to hold the baby first,
Right?
but it's Marcus. So just I loved that little detail. I thought that that was so smart and indicative of like how Sugar also sees this team as her family and like the trust that she has in someone like Marcus.
Yes, it's such a signal and gesture of trust and knowing that you are safe, that you are reliable, that I mean your newborn child, you know what I mean? Uh Carmi and Sid are just like, I don't really know what to do right now. There's a baby. What do we do here? And you see Marcus just like also light up around baby too. I loved the little short shot of like Sophie's eyes just like captivated by Marcus because there are totally those people that you know that are like baby whisperers and they always have that steady, calm, just like this quiet confidence aura about them. And there's not this chaos, there's not this freneticness, there's not these huge like uh volatility. They are often so steady and reliable. And I feel like it was cool to see us know that and then for that to be expressed through this little tiny moment with Sugar coming to visit. Yeah, it was great. Uh, speaking of baby, my dude,
Yes.
Richie.
He has his petty pants on today. He's ready to start some stuff.
hmm But I love that he's humanized in that too, because before that, we see that, he's feeling insecure, he's feeling inadequate as a father because new stepdad got to buy the big expensive bear for his kid. And when he's creatively figuring out a way to fling some zingers at Carmi through baby, it's funny, it's hilarious, it's so good. But we also know and understand where it's coming from too, where he's just feeling a little spicy. This is his way of kind of lashing out. And I thought that just the pairing of that little moment we have with him explaining where he's at to Jess, and then the second moment comes, really humanizes him in him being with his petty pants on, just needing to express this feeling in some way, and it's coming out in this way. And Carmi is just, collateral damage at this point. And also a reminder that they haven't really figured out their beef together yet. So it's coming out and they're processing it in this really weird way. But for Richie, it's tied to so many other things that are stewing with him emotionally. That's fueling his little outburst while holding Sophie. My gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to have an outburst, this is one of his more calm outbursts.
Oh yeah.
So, I'm going to say that that's a win. We didn't have any yelling or anything. Like, we're good.
Not them just like all cursing left and right in front of this like pure innocent child. I'm just like, oh my gosh, Sophie. Your
Oh,
poor
it's
little
so
ears just
funny.
steeped in this chaos.
I mean,
So
she
good.
was born into this family, so like
Yeah.
she's going to get used to it real quick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. 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 Uh, Luca is back.
Yes.
Interesting. I'm
Oh,
like,
I'm
how is he
excited.
going to be a part of this end game choice
Mhm.
decision? I just feel like there's something there that they're teeing up because we know he's incredibly talented. We know he has incredible chemistry with this team so
Mhm.
clearly. Good relationship with Carmi, obviously bonded deeply with Marcus. Has clear rapport with Sid. So
Yeah.
he feels like such a natural integration into this team. So, how is he a part of this new evolving game board of how
Mhm.
Stinky House and Pizza House is all going to shake out by the end? I just feel like it's notable that they're bringing him back in now. Of all people, Luca is back. So, I think he's going to play some role in some way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I hope that he does cuz he's such an interesting character and he
I love
brings
this character.
yeah, he brings an interesting dynamic to this whole crew too.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, obviously, like he can work in the chaos, but he has almost like a stabilizing factor, kind of like Marcus does, but it's a different vibe. Like he
Yep.
brings a different energy for sure. But I think he is another stable presence, reliable presence in the kitchen that when things go crazy and when things go wrong, he can keep his cool. And I
Yeah.
think I don't know, for me, like he is a very welcome addition. Like, yes, please help these people out because they
Yes.
need help.
They're also the show's giving him like really great scenes and lines. So I feel like the show is endearing us to him so clearly and very intentionally too. You know, like he gets the super charismatic, fun, quippy conversation with Sid where we get to see them banter, and he's got this charisma on screen, but he's also able to like see and understand the dynamics. He's got this really great rapport with Marcus. So I'm like, you know, when we've got our crew, we're like, new people, we don't know how we feel about them. But the show is like, no, we are welcoming Luca with wide open arms. And it's working. So we're like, yeah, come join us. So
Yes.
I think that's
Yes.
notable too.
A welcome
We're giving them
addition
great
for
moments.
sure. The other thing that I
Yeah,
wanted to like shout out is at the beginning, Carmi goes on the Frank Lloyd Wright house tour. Um, and then at the very end of it, he's standing outside and he looks across the street and he smiles.
yeah,
And I went, "What? Carmi can smile?" Like, I
yeah,
feel like we have been so starved for moments of joy from Carmi and moments of
yeah.
enjoyment from Carmi that we rarely have seen him smile in this show. And so
Mhm.
that just felt so notable that he was doing something else outside of the kitchen. Great. Love that for him. But he was having a moment of maybe that calm that Claire referenced. He was having that moment of joy that he has been chasing.
Mhm.
I thought that that was so notable that the show gives us that it's a very quick shot, but it's a very deliberate choice to include that at this point when he's not in the kitchen. I was just like,
Mhm.
okay, interesting. Like next layer of Carmi's involvement, maybe.
Yes, I mean, I was thinking about if the show's planting all the seeds for like architecture being a
Mm-hmm.
new passion, a new love, a new thing for him to pour himself into. There's specifically a shot of him kind of like crouched and his head is angled and he's studying this like piece of wood on a table. And I'm like, we've seen him do that before, but with a dish and putting garnish on a dish. And I was just thinking about how architecture is such a great uh next potential passion area for Carmi because there's so much artistry in it. There's also a lot of like operational and like tactical, technical aspects of it, like the culinary arts. There's also just also, this like deep, like craft that needs to be studied and this world that needs to be deeply like soaked in that I think is also like very transferable with any other artistic craft as well. So I don't know, there feels like a lot that makes sense there and something that his mind can like chew on and feast on and then also have this creative outlet paired with the technical pieces together that I think is like a great fit for him next. I'm like, okay, show, I see what you're doing here. If Carmi's going to spin out and support the bear from afar and do this whole vision that we see, this is a great new thing for him to like dive into a new world and that I think he would be great at. That like deep study, the like the willingness to go and become an expert in these areas and marry technical with creative is really great. So his wiring is very fit for this. I'm like, yeah, this is smart. This is a smart choice. And we see him kind of getting captivated and excited about it too, like you mentioned, that little moment, a little smile.
Ugh, we love to see it.
Yeah.
We just want you to be happy, Carmi. Be a happy
Yeah.
human.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. Okay, any other last big things before we give out some TV and us awards?
I mean, I think we also have to shout out our guy Ibra,
Yes.
who is still trucking along with this businessman, and man, just had his whole thought process completely upended, that Ibra doesn't need to be thinking big, but he needs to be thinking small.
Yeah.
And so I, number one, love that Ibra is still continuing on this journey. And so far, the dude isn't taking advantage of Ibra or doing anything shady,
Yeah.
so far. And I love that you also see Ibra's personality just on full display too, where he's like joking with the dude and then starts like naming out restaurant taglines just to be silly and funny. And the business guy is just like, what are you doing? That's not what we're doing here. So I loved those scenes. I thought that they were such a welcome addition to this episode. And I love seeing Ibra really, taking the reins, taking ownership, and making moves that make sense for him and makes sense for his business that he's running. Ugh, I just love it.
Yeah, and seeing him become like a business leader, a business
Mm-hmm.
owner, having that entrepreneurial spirit. I think the choice to mini franchise is genius, but I love that Ibra brings up the consideration for the Berzatto family of like, hey, but this is a family business. Like I don't want to step outside these bounds or not honor the roots of this place and just like take it and corporatize it and run. So just his intuition to know and be aware of and respectful of the roots of this place, I thought was so beautiful. And then it's just really fun to see Ibra's crew and his team. They're such big, colorful personalities and so like abrasive on the outside and how they show up in the world, but have such hearts of gold that you can kind of see underneath. And Ibra shows up so differently from them. And so knowing that he's managing this team so well and figuring out how to build rapport and bond with these people that are so different from him, I think speaks to his emotional intelligence and his like ability to see and understand and relate to people and kind of Ibra's version of his magic and his way with people because those are some big personalities and he's somehow able to build them to be a team that's cohesive, that works together well, that it's killing it in the business. And so he's got a lot up there that is working so well for him. And it's just funny to imagine Ibra in the mix with like Chucky and Christopher and whoever else is back there making the sandwiches and how they figured out how to make this work. So yeah, I think Ibra's ability to connect with people is so clear and evident in this episode too.
Ugh. And it's helping him be successful, and we love it. It is
Yes.
Ibra is the successful part of the business, and he just wants to
Mhm.
get better and better, and I love that.
It's so good. It's so good. Okay, let's give out some TV and us awards. The first category is Top Chef. Sarah, what's your choice for this one?
I want to give it to my guy Marcus. He makes an
Hmm.
amazing new dessert complete with an edible little bowl, and I thought that
Yeah,
was really impressive.
it was beautiful. Honestly, when
Yes,
Army descended his spoon upon there, I was low key like, oh no, you ruined it, but I know you're supposed to eat it. Like, but also, it was so beautiful. I'm like, well,
so
get your
pretty.
spoon out of there. Come on. So good. So good. My choice for Top Chef is Tina for
Mhm.
having that really incredible moment with Carmi and speaking to him in ways that he needs to hear most in this time of his life. So
Mhm.
Tina's MVP for me in this episode.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. The next category is Achievement in Chaos. What is your choice for this one?
The Fax wanting to hold the baby.
No, my sweethearts. I do not. Oh, it's so good. What do they say at the end too? They're like having this whole bit around like, but we're great with baby. We've always held baby. Like, and the facts
Uh-huh.
don't lie.
Facts
Okay,
don't lie.
that's literally your whole life is a bit for these two.
They're
Oh,
so funny.
it's so great. It's so great. My choice for Achievement in Chaos is Ibra spewing the jingles at Albert, trolling him so hard.
Oh, I loved that moment. And then he just kept going too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was perfect.
Okay, the next category is Spiciest Line. What is your choice for this one?
I want to give it to Sugar for when she tells the facts no, and she just says, "No, sweethearts."
Yes.
But you can tell she's so nice and like sugary on top, but you know that there is fire beneath of like, I'm being nice to you now, don't touch my baby.
Yeah. That like protective mama bear instinct is like, oh hell no, you are not touching my child.
Yes. But
Yeah.
it's the
So
facts.
good.
So she's so sweet and loves them so
No, sweetheart.
much.
So good. I gotta give this to my guy talking to Sophie, baby Sophie,
Yep.
about Carmi. Spend some time with us so you won't look at Chef Carmi and develop a refrigerator complex. So good.
It was so good. Oh my gosh, that conversation was so funny.
To
So
which Carmi
spicy.
says, "Don't talk shit to me through the baby." Oh, so
It's great.
great. That's so great. All right. Looking ahead, what are you excited to see now that we're at the halfway point and we've got second half of the show's runway to finish this thing out? What
Mhm.
are you hoping to see? And anything could happen at this point, but
Yeah, I think. I mean, we already talked a lot about it. Like it really does feel like the end of this episode kind of changes everything. You
yeah,
know, obviously we don't know what happened with her dad and all that stuff. But it does feel like everything has changed. So I'm just curious to see where the show is going to go next, cuz and we've talked about it I think even in this season about I feel like the back half of this season will really show us what the bear is trying to like say
mm,
about humanity, the world around us, what is its
yeah,
worldview, like all of those things. And i'm
yeah,
i'm just curious to see, because there's some really negative ways that the show could go, and then there's some very
oh,
positive ways.
yeah.
Obviously there's a mix of the two, so it just feels like kind of everything is wide open after this episode, and I'm just curious to see what direction it'll go in and kind of what it'll say about like the thesis of the show as a whole.
Yes, yes, and like there's still so much runway too that it's not quite time yet for our crew to fully come together and reconcile yet. I think there'll be some of that, and then it's going to go a little wrong, and then maybe we'll come to some feeling of togetherness by the end of this season. But there's still so much to go right and wrong. And so I'm curious to see how those turns will take shape. I think that'll be really interesting and fascinating, and which characters maybe unexpectedly come through and show up in a way that's surprising to us too. Um, I yeah. What else am I excited to see in the show? I just want this to be the last season. Can I just say that now? I would like to see that we end the bear here. I think that would be really amazing. Um, yeah, I oh man, I'm curious also, I guess, to see where we pick up next. Like, are we in the moments right after where this episode ends? Are we a few hours later at the hospital? And I think this could really push Sydney in a really unhealthy direction. Like, even her choice to be like, I want to go alone. Don't tell anyone. Like you kind of see her hyper independence and desire to isolate and take care of things on her own as a result of having to probably like do that a lot growing up, like kind of kicking in. So I'm curious to see where Sid will go next and how as she's being shaken by all of this. And I think there's a lot of hopefulness I have that because Carmi is wired so similarly to Sid that he can kind of see and spot those things now that he's growing and has capacity to see other people now and kind of help be alongside that and maybe help her avoid a lot of the mistakes that he's made around just retreating, isolating, shutting down, which is maybe what she might do. And in general, I think the heart of the show is about loss. It's about grief. It's about how to heal beautifully together with people after experiencing so much of that. And Carmi's now gone through so many phases of that through Mikey. So how can he come alongside and understand what Sid might be going through because of everything he's experienced? So I think that pairing could be really interesting. So I'd like to see that. I hope that that's what happens, is that we see people helping each other based on the things that they've been through to help each other well. But I think a lot will go wrong along the way and all the twists and turns. So that's what I would like to see. All right. Well, this was our review and discussion of episode 5 of The Bear Season 4. You can find it available to stream on Hulu. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of TV and Us. Our name sums it up. We're big fans of TV and the powerful ways we can connect with each other and the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories. So everyone is welcome here, and we're so glad you spent time with us as we continue our journey through The Bear Season 4. You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you tune to your favorite shows. Drop us a rating and review, letting us know your thoughts about some of the big events that happen in this 5th episode of the season. You can connect with us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at TVNSPod, or email us at tvnspod@gmail.com. Check out our website, andusmedia.co, for the latest on TV and Us and our other podcast, Movies and Us. We'll be back soon to discuss episode 6. In the meantime, we hope you have an amazing week, and we'll talk again with y'all very soon.